One of the areas we get asked quite a bit about in Light is adding extra data to the Lighting Reality database. And there's three ways of doing it. The first one is the most simple. If I go to choose Luminaire, it goes through this building database where it's reading the data structure, and there's a whole load of manufacturers' photometry that I have in this folder, which is largely the data which is available on the downloads. But let's say for the sake of argument that the photometry we want to use is not part of that database. What we can do is we can browse to photometry that's outside of that database. So let's say for the sake of argument I wanted to add a particular lantern into the database, which is here, and I can browse to that folder, and then it goes through the process of reading that folder, and there's quite a bit of photometry in this folder, so it takes a bit of time to read it, but eventually it'll pop up with that, and then we can go through and select the lantern, do the design that we need to, and so on and so forth. But this may be a product that you want to come back and use over and over again, and there's a couple of ways that we can get around that problem. Obviously you can browse to it each time, but then that can get a bit laborious if you're using the same product over and over again. So what we can do is go to a particular folder, and like so, and then go add to database at the bottom here, and then what that does is it gives us the opportunity to give it a different name. So I'm going to select OK. It goes through this building database where it's rebuilding the database of the lanterns, and then you can see at the bottom here that we have the folders added, and the various photometry, and each time we start Lighting Reality, then that photometry will be there. Now that in itself is fine. If you have a reasonably fast network, then that's not too much of an issue. But if you want to, if you say run off a solid state drive, you get a much faster response, and you're not reliant on the speed of the network and so on. So what we can do is copy the files to a location locally on the machine. I've got some data here in my photometry, and I could do the same thing and browse to it and add it in that way. But the alternate way of doing it is to actually add it to the folder structure. Now we store the photometry in a folder called Program Data, Lighting Reality obviously, and then PM Data, and then in here we can do one of two things at this point. I can either go into the Philips folder and then create a new folder, or actually what I'll do is I'll just delete that. What I'll do is I'm just going to drag, let's just copy that and then paste that into there. So you can see that it's now copying that information into that folder, and then you should in time see that become part of that folder, and eventually sooner or later it'll copy it in, and then we can go back to Lighting Reality and to load that in. Now again, that's fine until you decide to update your photometry, and at that point what will happen is the first thing we do when we update the Philips photometry is we delete everything that's within this folder. So my special folder that I've just added there would then be deleted, and all the information I have in it will be lost. So what we normally suggest to people is that you create a folder called My Data or My Photometry. I've called it _My Data so that it sits at the top of the list, and then we can create a folder for Philips and then put the photometry in that folder, which as you can see here I've already done, so that when I go to choose Luminaire, it will I can then browse to that location, and you can see the photometry is in there, and I can then go ahead and do my lighting design as necessary. So there is that process. If there is any questions on that, please drop us an email to support@lightingreality.com. If you have a topic you want us to cover, again send us an email to support@lightingreality.com, or you can tweet me directly at nicksmith1246 on Twitter. Thank you very much.